So, welcome to week one, subtraction, the second of these three videos. The first video was quite large, so I've decided to clip them into three shorter videos that are a little bit more digestible in more like 15-20 minute chunks. So this session is mostly about subtraction, or is completely about subtraction. We're going to look at four sort of levels of difficulty, look at some SATs examples, and guide you through the process of exchanging effectively within subtraction. So it's a very simple strategy, column subtraction with some opportunities for mental subtraction as well. But by the end of it, we should have a good level of confidence when it comes to basic layout of subtraction and enable us to score probably 2 or 3 marks on the test on our journey to 40.
So when we have subtraction, we have our first number, which is known as the minuend, which you can see here. Then we have the subtrahend, and in subtraction, we don't have the sum, we have the difference. Now, the difference is really important to understand, and this comes in more and more as we work through arithmetic. Understanding that this symbol here, the difference, a subtraction symbol, is basically any subtraction is asking you to find the difference between the two numbers. All right. So if we boil it down to a really simple question, we can look at it like this: that if we had 9 take away 7, or even, let's just make it a little bit more complicated. If we had, let's just say, and you weren't super confident with subtraction in your head, let's just say we had something like 23 take away 14, for example. Okay, all this is really asking is what is the difference between these two numbers. Okay, so if you couldn't in your head take away this, obviously you could do a column subtraction, but ultimately all you need to do is work out the difference between these two numbers. So you might know that from 14 to 20 is 6, because that's a number bond to 20, and then 3 more to 23. So that would be much easier to work out 9 than possibly doing 23 take away 14. Much like you may have, again, the simple example that I gave before, I've watched lots and lots of children over the years to sit. This example is a good one. That we have 9 take away 7, and they'll go to counting it on their fingers. I'm putting my hands up, which you can't see, but they'll go to their fingers to count this down, and they'll count down 7. But there's 7 in my head, there's 7 opportunities there for you to make a mistake or miscount. But if you understand that this question is just saying what's the difference between these two numbers, then you can count on from 7 to 9, or just know that the difference is 2. So ultimately, that is the answer. We're not calling it the answer. It is because we have a question. But ultimately, all subtractions are asking us about the difference between the two numbers. All right? And that will come in handy in the future for us to remember this, especially when we get to some of the more complex questions. All right? So again, we're going to lay these out effectively, and we're going to go through some of them. So 473 take away, again, aligning our ones column and making sure, again, ones, tens, hundreds, is making sure that we are aligning our ones column, and then from there we are working from right to left to complete the subtraction. Now, I've said this before, in that these videos are working on the basis that you understand how to, in the most, do column subtraction. We're just making sure that you can complete them for SATs. So what's going to happen shortly is we're going to encounter exchanging, where we can't carry out a subtraction because the top number is smaller than the bottom number. Now, in this example, we can. 3 take away 2. You can do that. If you have 3, and we look to the right slightly, if you have 3 of anything, we'll do them as ones, 3, you can take away 2, which leaves 1, which is the answer or the difference between 3 and 2. But if you have 2, you can't take away 3 because that third one isn't there. Okay, so it's really important to understand the subtraction strategies. Now, if we go to complete this one, from the ones column, we can do 3, take away 2 is 1, 7 take away 5, which is 2, and 4, there's nothing to take away, so the 4 just drops down into the answer. Now at this point, that's correct, but again, let's just draw our attention back to the concept of the difference. What is the difference between 3 and 2? 1. What is the difference between 7 and 5? 2. And obviously there's no reason for this, but you could say, what is the difference between 4 and nothing? It's 4, all right? So essentially that is what we're looking to find with a subtraction. We are looking to find the difference between the two numbers. And the larger difference is, the difference between 473 and 52 is 421, okay? But the column subtraction strategy is again. Now this is the first example where we are going to need to exchange. So if you want to complete this question now, pause it, lay it out yourself and have a go. Hopefully now you're back, and if you just stayed with us, that's great. So we've got 652, take away, that should be up there. So we've got a slight error from myself in the question. So we'll just rub that out. Take away 127. So we're just making sure that, again, we have the place value, 1, tens, hundreds, and that would obviously be the thousands if we needed them. So at that point, we can carry out the question. Now straight away, hopefully you can see we've got a problem in that in the ones column where we're starting, 2 take away 7 we can't do, all right? If we only have 2, we can't take away 7, all right? So again, if I just show you, if we have 2, we can't take 7 away from there because there's only 2 to take away. So we need to find to make this number more. And we're going to do that by exchanging. And we're going to exchange from the tens column next to it. So in order to do that, which again you will be familiar with, is we're going to cross out the 5 and we're going to borrow, which you'll have heard of, but exchange 10 into the ones column. And we're going to note that here. Now because we've exchanged 10 from the tens column, that we now only have 4 tens there. So we can now come back to the ones column and we can do 12, because that is a 10, 12 take away 7, all right? So 12 take away 7, we have 5. To the tens column now, 4 take away 2 is 2 obviously, and 6 take away 1 is 5. So we have 525. Now again, drawing our attention back to this, we're just, again, this is all differences. What's the difference between 12 and 5? 7. What's the difference between 4 and 2? 2. The difference between 6 and 1 is 5. Okay? So we're just working out the difference. And this is important when we get to more complex problems with subtraction and different layouts, is understanding that if we are subtracting, we're generally trying to find the difference. Here's another question. We'll go straight into it. Again, if you want to pause the video now, pause it. Have a go yourself. And we'll crack on ahead. So 741 take away 352. Now again, one of my big phrases is always, what's the problem? What's the problem we're encountering? Now the problem straight away that we've got here is that we've got 1 take away 2, and we can't do that. Okay, there's not enough there. So again, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands if they arrive. So let's do the problem. 1 take away 2. We can't do that, so we're going to need to exchange. So this doesn't work. So we're going to need to exchange. We're going to need to take 10 from here and bring it into here. All right. Which again, everyone should hopefully be quite familiar with this. So that's gone to a 3, and that 10's been brought into the ones column to enable us to have 11 take away 2. So 11 take away 2 is 9. 3 take away 5. So we've got the same problem. We've got 3, we're trying to take 5 away, that's no good. And we can't just do 5 take away 3. We can't just swap numbers around, because then the question would be 751 take away 330. So we can't just swap numbers around above the other and just do 5 take away 3. So we have to exchange from the sevens column and bring 100 into here to help us out. So let's do that. So the 7, we've taken 100 away and brought it into here. So that's now, we've already got 600s in there, and we've got 13 take away 5. So 13 take away 5 is 8, and 6 take away 3 is 3. So again, we've got to the answer very quickly. And again, going back to presentation, we just need to be nice and careful about how we lay all of this out, because you can see here, this can get messy and we can make mistakes. The other thing to do is to make sure that we make these notes as we go. All right, I've seen lots and lots of children, they'll cross it out, they'll do the 1, and then they'll come and do it, and they forget to adjust the 7 into a 6. So it's really important that we get all of this right. And the final one. So let's again pause the video if you want to have a go at it. We'll crack on. So 3, let's just change that. 3, 6, 2, 4. Take away. We know there's a 5 in there, there's a 1 and a 9. So again, I know I'll be sort of boring you with it, but again, that place value is so important to make sure that we've got this area of the question all aligned. If we get that done correctly, then it means everything else should just fall into line, and we can't make those silly mistakes that we don't want to make. So again, we're going to start in the 1s column. We've got that problem straight away. A 4 take away 5, we can't do that. So we're going to need to exchange from the 10s column into the 1s. So let's look at doing that. So that 10 is now dropped into here, and that's become 1. Okay, so can we do this now? 14 take away 5, yes we can. So 14 take away 5 is 9, 1 take away 1 is 0, 6 take away 9, and children, you guys often just get carried away. So you've done that one, you think, oh, I'm all done. 6 take away 9 is 3. No, it isn't, okay? And I've seen it many, many times before. 6 take away 9, we can't do that. All right, so we're going to need to exchange from the thousands column into the hundreds. So we're going to cross that 3 out. That's going to become a 2. And the 1 that we've just adjusted and exchanged into here becomes 16 take away 9. Okay, and actually this 16 take away 9, remember this short column subtraction and column addition is a short version of carrying out the full problem. So remember, these are hundreds. So we're actually doing 160 take away 90, but we're shortening that to 16 take away 9. 16 take away 9 is 7, and 2, there's nothing to take away from it, so the 2 is just going to drop down. All right, so that gets us to 2,709. And that is column addition. In planning this video, I realized that we've got subtraction where we're taking away from lots and lots of zeros, where there's significant exchanges to do. I'm going to do an additional video on that and publish it during the week just as an additionality, so don't worry about those. Now again, here's some questions to have a go at. So pause the video now and please have a go at these. Again, use your iPads and iPhones to check answers. If you do make a mistake, that is fine. Check your presentation, check your place value, and all likelihood is you've just made a small error in terms of subtracting a number. Here are some stats examples for subtraction. So again, we're just gonna, what I'll say is, I'm not gonna over talk through these ones. I'm going to let you have a go. Each time we come onto a new one, I'm going to quickly complete it so you can see the process. So again, let's go. I'd quickly drop my ruler onto the page. It's a green line, but we're just going to carry on anyway. So 7,306, take away 7, 4, 8, 1. So I know I'm subtracting, just mental arrangement. So 6 take away 7, I know I can't do that, so I'm going to have to exchange. Now this is a good example straight away of 0 to, so 6 take away 7, if I'll just get the cursor up so I can draw your attention to it, 6 take away 7, we can't do that. But then exchanging from the 0, there's nothing there. We can't borrow anything from here or exchange it into the 1s column. So what we have to do is we have to exchange from the next column along, which is the hundreds column. But we can't just exchange all the way to the start, the 1s column. We have to exchange along and exchange again. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So again, 6 take away 7, we can't do that. So we look to the next column, 0 take away the 0, we can't exchange from there, so we have to exchange from the 3, so that's going to become a 2, but we exchange into the next column. We then try the problem again. Now we've done one full exchange, we go back to the start and try again. 6 take away 7, can't do it. Let's look at this next column now. There's now 10 there, so we can exchange from there. So we're going to cross the 1 and the 0 out, the 10, and that becomes a 9. And the 1 that we've borrowed or exchanged comes into the 1s column. So we've now got 16 take away 7. 16 take away 7, if I just change the colour, is 9. 9, now we've got 9 take away 4 is 5. 2 take away 8, we can't do that, so we're just going to exchange again. So the 7 is going to become a 6, and the 1,000 that I've borrowed or exchanged is going to drop into the hundreds column. So I've now got 12 take away 8, which is 4, and then finally 6 take away 1, which is 5. Now, we could say that's correct, which it is, but it isn't. You will not get the mark until that answer is written clearly in the box. Okay? Let's have a look at the next one. Now again, what I'd be hoping for most of my students is that you would be able to calculate this one mentally, that you would just be able to subtract 10 from 707. But again, if we just want to guarantee that we get the answer, we might fly straight into the problem. Let's just time it from now. Go. Zero take away 1, we can't do it, so we're going to exchange. 10 take away 1 is 9. 6 is just going to drop down. So we've got 697, 6, 9, 7, tick, timer off. That was probably about 20 seconds. Now, yes, if you knew that one, if you knew that what 707 take away 10 was 697, great. But what we don't want in SATs, again, look, question number 1, we don't want you losing all your confidence on the first question, spending a minute trying to work this out in your head because you've just got in a bit of a kerfuffle. We don't want that. So sometimes we're just going to drop into this strategy. We know it inside out, get the answer, bang it in, move on to the next question. Now again, the problem that we have here is we've got 4 digits and 2 digits. So straight into the presentation, we really want to make sure that we align our ones column accurately. So again, off you go, do it alongside me yourself, and let's see if we both get to the same answer. So we've got 4,532, take away 19, off we go. So 2 take away 9, I can't do that because it's not enough. So I'm going to need to exchange, that's going to come a 2, carry that 10 into the ones column. 12 take away 9 is 3, 2 take away 1 is 1, 5 take away nothing essentially is 5, and the 4 is just going to drop down as well. So we've got 4,513. Now again, with this question, I would have been expecting people to have just been able to accomplish it mentally. So that's mental arithmetic, and the likelihood is that we would have just adjusted the number 19 to 20, took away 20, and then added the 1 back on. But either way, we've got to the mark, we've got to the result of getting this answer, we get the mark, we move. And this is the example that I was talking about where we have to really think about how we lay out our question and make sure where there's multiple exchanges need to happen along a 0. So I'm going to show you this one briefly and know that there's an extra video coming out about this. So again, if we lay it out, we're going to drop our ruler in, get a nice straight ruler line to begin with, get rid of the ruler, and then 5, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, subtract 0, 0, 0, 5. And again, that's obviously 0, 0, and 0, and then we get our problem, 0 take away 5. 0 take away 5 we can't do, there's nothing. 0 take away 5 we can't do, there's nothing in the next column. There's only here in the 100,000s column that we're going to need to borrow from. So we can do that, that's absolutely fine. So we would cross out the 5, that becomes a 4, and we exchange into the next column. Okay, come back to this column again. 0 take away 5, we can't do it, so we can't go to the next column, which is 10, adjust that to a 9, and exchange. So we've got now 10 take away 5 is 5, 9 take away nothing is 9, and 4. Now again, this is another example. Oops. And then obviously we need to write that answer in here. Very important. Now I just want again to draw your attention to, ideally we would just be able to do this mentally. So if your mental arithmetic is strong enough, it's basically thinking about 500,000 take away 5,000, which just leaves us 495,000. So, but again, obviously doing it this way makes it a little bit more complex. But if you can't do the mental arithmetic, I just did that in 15-20 seconds. You have more than enough time spare to give 15 or 20 seconds to guarantee yourself the mark.
Well, video 2 done, subtraction. Hopefully that was enlightening, and hopefully that has built on your awareness of the strategies for addition through into subtraction. And you can see how the role of place value really dictates our success within that. We can really take it for granted, making sure that our ones, tens, hundreds and beyond are really in order, in the correct place, laid out presentably, and that enables us to then not have to overthink about the question and just apply the strategy. The key thing coming out of subtraction is obviously your ability to exchange. So if from those videos you weren't particularly confident exchanging, I would definitely recommend practicing a little bit more and spending a little bit more time on that. I will produce a video later on, excuse me, that will cover exchanging through multiple zeros, which is a little bit more challenging and extremely important as well. The third video in this series, the next one, so 1 of 3 for week 1, is all about varied fluency. So check that out. It's really important. As I mentioned in the first video, we need to think about varied fluency in terms of the different representations that children are going to encounter. So it's really important that you check that video out to bring addition and subtraction to a close in terms of a strategy.